And you would see their energy just begin to change in seconds from hearing. Now, that's the effect of the music, and a lot of different kinds of music has that effect on us. And the same thing with the bowls. I've seen this for 25 years, bringing in the sound of a bowl into an environment and playing that, and particularly when it's played with a very committed intention.
Welcome to The Reluctant Medium, where we cover the gamut of out there conversations. With an open mind and a curious heart, we want to talk about it all. From psychic phenomena and energy medicine to beings from other star systems and out-of-body experiences. You'll find a great balance between grounded science-backed topics and others that science hasn't quite caught up to yet. I'm your host, Dr. Maria Rothenburger, a psychotherapist by trade and a reluctant spirit baby communicator. And hey, even though I'm a medium, I'm not buying everything folks are selling. I just have a voracious appetite to know more about what I call the world of the weird. Join us on your favorite podcast platform or watch on YouTube at The Reluctant Medium. I'll see you there. Hi there. Welcome, everyone, back to the Reluctant Medium podcast. I'm Dr. Maria Rothenburger, your host for the podcast, and I have been chomping at the bit to talk to today's guest, Ashana. This morning, I was listening to her beautiful vibrations, really. I want to say music, but it's just so ethereal and settling and centering. Even through this morning's tech issues, I was calm and centered. And I'm so delighted to welcome you today. Thanks so much for being here, Ashana.
Oh, thank you, Maria. It's wonderful to be here with you. Finally, we got all of it
We
organized.
did. I know. This is try number 3. And so we are.
This is the charm number
That's
3.
it. That's what it is. That's right. And folks can see behind you in your beautiful space there, the home for your crystal bowls. We are talking about crystal healing, crystal bowl healing today, among other things. I'm sure. I'm already getting input from the other side. Ask this, ask that. So first things first, would you please tell us who you are and how you came to do what you do?
I'm blessed to be a human being in a body walking on this earth at this incredible time in our evolution. I think I was one of those reluctant, I love your word reluctant. I think I'm one of those reluctant angelic beings that said, sure, I'm in, I'll go down, I'll help. And then when it came time to do the jump, I went, wait a minute, was I out of my mind? But I've been blessed my whole life to have a love and a passion for all things artistic and musical, and just to be infused with a growing and developing love of sound and music and vibrational frequency. And I get to do that for lots and lots of people in concerts and in public experiences. And I get to teach my students in a program called Crystal Ball Mastery. I get to have magical experiences like I did the other day watching one of my students move from almost paralyzing neck pain to freedom after we worked together, which was just stoked me beyond
Oh,
belief.
yeah.
And
yeah.
we're getting ready to do another retreat, and we'll have a big gathering of students coming in for Crystal Ball Mastery. So I live in outside of Sedona, Arizona, with about 115 of my own personal crystal alchemy bowls and about 8 therapy harps and a heck of a lot of tuning forks and all kinds of instruments like that with a beautiful man who's a native Hawaiian healer. So,
Oh,
and a cat.
and a cat. Naturally.
I am a cat woman. No children, married cat woman. So if you're not okay with any of that, it's probably a good time to turn off.
Stop listening and or watching now. It's so funny when you say that, because when you sort of introduced your crystal bowls, I'm like, those are your children. They feel like this is who you nurture, and your cat, and maybe your spouse.
It's back and forth, you know? I think this experience of having them in my space nurtures me
Ooh, yeah.
as much, if not more. Well, actually, I can't say if not more. It's a real, collaborative
Yes.
love.
I actually had a question about the fact that the material of these bowls are crystals because I am a crystal healer. In fact, I just happened to create a very grounding spread for myself over here with some smoky quartz and some milky quartz. And I am curious what would happen if I was able to create sound from these crystals. And the crystal bowls do this, yeah, because crystals already have resonance and energy coming emanating, but what happens when you create sound from them?
Then you get an
Ugh.
alchemy, then they have the opportunity. The crystal consciousness has the opportunity to express itself vibrationally through sound. And then you have because you know that you understand, the qualities of quartz crystal, you understand that through sound now, we get to project that sound far, far greater distance than you could if you were just simply holding a stone in your hand. So now that because sound can travel, gosh, if it's underwater, it can travel up to 225, 250 miles. Now think about that if you're working with crystal healing and you're projecting, you're amplifying that sound, you're amplifying the energetic vibrational frequencies of the crystals. Now you're using sound as a medium to carry. That goes right into the body, which is 70% sound. So everything inside that frequency goes systemically, organically, systemically, and because we have parts of ourselves that are crystal in orientation, the
Mm.
molecular structure of the fluids in our body, as well as our skeletal system, as well as parts of our hormonal system, they're all, crystalline based. Now you have this dynamic, natural resonance,
Mm.
right, between the
Mm.
crystal and the sound and the organism.
Ugh,
Plus,
ugh.
our energetic bodies. I mean, we could go on and on about that. It's a beautiful blend.
Are you telling me I'm moving into perimenopause. Are you telling me that crystal healing can help my hormonal issues? That's awesome.
Well, that's a really interesting, thought form because, whenever we're dealing with shifts and transitions and changes in the body, and the psyche, there are so many layers to it.
Mm.
And I say this all the time to my students, and anybody who'll listen to me.
I am right now.
In my opinion, and that's like an HO, my humble
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
IHO, in my humble IMHO, in my humble opinion, crystal healing, all different kinds of healings are part of a very organic whole, and they are complementary to each other and to the healing process as a whole, as an entirety. So I really counsel people not to extricate one and elevate it above the other, but to see it as part of a very unique combination that uh, that is mm, decided upon, probably on the soul level, by the person that is calling upon that healing. And so that may be, well, we have allopathic medicine for this, we have TCM for this, we have the crystal healing for this, we have the sound healing for this. And so we don't put our finger on it and say, "Oh, such and such is going to heal my hormonal issues," when the herbs can be amazing, the photogenic light therapy is amazing, your yoga is amazing, your crystal sound healing is amazing. And we bring all of this together. And for every person, we find that unique combination that is right for them.
Mm. Ah, that is true holistic healing. Ah, you're clearly a healer, and I wondered how you came to specifically, and you're also a vocalist. Your vocals, I'm a vocalist, right? And so this is another reason why, and my partner and I are musicians, and so this is another reason why I wanted him to hear your music. We there's just something about your vocals too that I am just like, I just from a technical perspective, I'm like, "What? Just what?" But all right, so you're a musician and a crystal healer. I'm wondering how you came to do this specific kind of healing and pair it with the vocals. How did this happen, Ashana? Just how did this happen?
Well, I didn't decide it. I had a whole other plan. I did. I had a whole other plan. And it was kind of a pure, um, one of those destiny moments when I got a phone call from a mentor, a spiritual mentor that I was working with, and she called me up one day and she goes, "Have you ever heard of crystal singing bowls?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "These are right up your alley." And I said, "Okay." And literally, I bought one sight unseen that day. And 3 weeks later, it arrived at my house in this giant box. It was a big old classic frosted, 14 inches, G. And I put it on the table, pulled it out, all the peanuts, everything, put it on the kitchen table. And I was living in rural New Mexico at the time. And I tapped the side of the bowl and I burst into tears.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh,
I
wow.
said immediately, "Oh my God, light has come to live in my house."
Mm, mm.
And that was the first thing I thought. And literally, without exaggeration, like the very next thought in my head was, one day I'm going to put these into music.
Ah,
And it's significant to remember that at that point in time, sound healing didn't
no.
exist.
Right.
It wasn't trending, it wasn't spoken about, crystal bowls were like, "Huh?" I mean, this was like very few people were working with sound, on a on a on a large scale level. There were a lot of people like, James Twyman and Jonathan Goldman and Deborah Van Dyke and, um oh gosh, Tom Kenyon, it w we were all at that kind of period, Steve Halpern, we were all kind of like, just sort of Don Campbell. It
Mhm.
was it
Mhm.
was it we were just like walking the earth kinda going, "Okay, here we are," and what do we see here? We were in the discovery phase and the learning and growing phase, all of us. So, about 3 weeks after I got my first bowl, I had 7 because I was so like, "I
Wow.
whatever this is," and at that point in time, it was like, "Oh, you need 7 for the 7 chakras." I'm like, "Okay, I'm
Okay,
in.
cool, thought.
Just
Okay,
bring"
mhm. I'm
you know?
picking up what you're putting down, yep.
It's like that's exactly it. And all I could think about was C, D, E, F, G, A, B.
Done,
Great. That'll give
done.
me a good place to start. Those the 7 notes, major notes of the Western musical scale, and I was like, Perfect." So, I went through this period for about 2 years where I was just exploring. I was using a lot of vowel sounds with the bowls. I was playing with them a lot, and with the guidance of one of my mentors, she was like, "Okay, you need to go out in public and do this for other people." And I was like, "Oh, really?" I'm a singer. I don't do stuff like this. She's like, "No, no, go, go," and so she encouraged me, and was using at that time just kind of a vowel system that I had learned, which correlated vowel sounds to the different chakras, And so I was doing this before anybody was doing stuff like that. I was doing this with groups of people, and at a certain point in time, it was like, okay, um, about 2005, I did all of that from about 1999 to 2004, 2005, just kinda quietly in my community. And I had this feeling, it's like I gotta go do recording, and I wasn't even really thinking about the bowl.
Ah.
I sort of was thinking about the bowls because they were, I was integrating them, uh, but I had this feeling that I needed, to find a producer that was really going to understand me, my music, and the crystal singing bowls. I had it like that. And I was lying kicked back in shavasana, um, and somebody was playing, teacher was playing Sanatam Kaur on the for for relaxation, and I heard of course, I wasn't relaxed at all. I was listening to the music, I was like,
Uh-huh.
"What is that?"
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
And my thought wasn't, "Oh, Sanatam Kaur," my thought was, "Who the heck is that producer?"
Yes, that's right.
That guy, he knows it. I want him. And it was just this amazing, synchronicity of events. When I found out who it was, I asked the teacher, I said, "Who is that?" And she goes, "Oh, that's another guy." I said, Never mind, it's another guy. She knows the producer."
I know.
And she said, "I don't well, whatever." Right? But it was that album, right? And she said, "Oh, that's Thomas Barkey." And I was like, "Okay, who's Thomas Barkey?" So immediately I'm home and I'm like looking it up. And it turns out he was coming with Sonatum to do a concert 2 weeks later.
Can't
I
make
mean,
that up.
it
You
was
can't
and
make
it
that
was
up.
the last time he ever played in New Mexico.
I just got chills.
It was the
Whoa.
last time. It was like such the divine angels just went, "You here now."
That's right.
Right? So this was so funny. So I talked to my friend Daniel Statnikoff, who is the person who brought the Peruvian whistling vessels in for, that's his own story, which is an amazing, he has a whole book about that, but he was the one who brought the Peruvian whistling vessels back into awareness. So one of the real pioneers in sound healing is Daniel. And so Daniel and I were hanging out together, and because he lived not too far from my house, and, um, and I said, "I gotta go meet this guy." So Daniel and I Daniel says, "All right, I'll go with you to the concert." I'm like, "Awesome," right? And I'm scared, right? Because 'Cause I'm thinking to myself, this is like, this guy has, like he's recorded with Seal, he has, like, a bazillion million CDs out, he's like and I'm like, "He's not gonna wanna work with me, are you kidding?" He's like, "Oh, me, little old Ashana, who cares," right? So so we get to this concert, and I'm all dressed up. I'm wearing this black dress with gold things on it, and Daniel's dressed in black pants and a black shirt with pineapples all over. And this I'll tell you why this is so important. And we walk into the hall, and it was at the St. Francis Auditorium in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and everybody there was a Kundalini yoga Sikh. Everybody was in white except for Daniel and Ashana. Dude, I'm trying to be unobtrusive. And all you had to do was sit and look. And there she was. And it was hilarious. And in the meantime, I'm thinking to myself, I said, "Okay, if this is the right thing to do and I'm gonna be supposed to meet this guy, then angels, give me a sign. Make it so it's so obvious that I'm supposed to talk to this guy." Meantime, I'm sitting right in the middle of the concert, and they walk out, the musicians walk on stage, and I swear to you, if I had, like, an apple, I could have thrown it right at Thomas Barkey. He was, like, sitting directly in front of me at the piano. That's where I ended up,
Oh,
and I'm kinda going, "What's going on here?" Anyway, intermission comes, and I gotta go to the bathroom. I go to the ladies' room and I'm scared. And I come out of the ladies' room. The place is packed. There's like 900,000 people in this auditorium, right? And I walk out of the bathroom and I swear to God, I walk right into his chest.
Stop it. Stop it.
Stop it is so true. I come in and I go, boom, like this, and I look because I'm not paying attention. And I look up, looking straight into Thomas Barkey's face.
That is incredible.
And I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. And he's like, oh no, that's all right. He's German. He's like, no, 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 don't worry about it. No. And we go on. And I'm like going, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, and I said, angels. I said, if I'm really supposed to talk to him, you're gonna give me another sign.
And the angels are going, seriously? Seriously.
Seriously. So we're sitting to the end of the concert. The end of the concert comes up, and then I'm waiting because I knew I had to go up on the stage and I had to talk to him. And Daniel, he psychically pushed my behind up the stairs, waited till there was nobody in the hall left. They're all left. And Thomas is still standing there talking to people. And I walked up to him and I just put my hand down and I said, hi, I'm Ashana. He says, hi. And he's like 6'4", and I'm like 5'6". And I said, hi, my name is Ashana. And the first words out of his mouth to me are like, Ashana, my daughter. She has a little girlfriend named Ashana. How are you? And I'm like,
oh my goodness.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
angels. I get it. This is enough. And we've been working together for 17 years ever since. And like an absolute dream team. And so much of the music that I am is Thomas. It's this beautiful blend of, the consciousness that the two of us have when we create together is so fluid and deep. And I believe in my heart it was one of those things when on the soul level, when the two souls go, great, and this is how we're going to meet, and it's going to look like this, so you'll get it, and I'll see ya when we get there.
Yeah.
And that's been what it's like. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah. And it goes on and on from there.
100% believe that. And I also can now feel what you mean by the reluctancy. Like, you're going to have to smack me in the face that I'm supposed to talk to this man. And literally smacked in the face by him, by his chest. Okay, but I need another sign. It actually leads right into what I was going to ask about next. But first, I just want to foreshadow folks who are listening and watching. At the end of this podcast episode, I have been fortunate enough to receive a piece of Ashana's new album. And so I'm going to play that for you at the end. So please stay tuned for that. I am curious about, okay, so let me just say, in my work with individuals and groups, my main focus is to empower people to do the things that they need to do for themselves, whatever that is. And there's usually touching base with one's inner guidance system. And there is something that when the person that was telling me about you to like, hey, interview this woman, I was like, yes. A piece of that list that they said, here's what she can talk about, was that. They talked about using sound healing and crystal bowls to enhance intuition and inner guidance. And I'm wondering about that, if you can speak to that, especially how folks can trust that. Is there a way to use crystal bowls, crystal singing bowls, crystal healing to trust one's own inner guidance?
Oh, absolutely. It's and how do you learn to trust that? And because you asked, she's like, how do you know? How do you know if you can trust that? Because of the feeling of it. And so we have to kind of take a step back, and we have to reverse engineer this a little bit. Because so many of us have been in circumstances, let's use that word, that have resulted in our reluctance. I love your word. Our reluctance to trust our own knowingness. So we have allowed, uh, consciously and unconsciously, the words and the belief systems of those who are our caregivers, or the people that are figures in our lives, to tell us that what we feel and what we sense is true is not true.
Yeah.
And we've been collectively conditioned in this way over and over and over and over again. So part of the process here that we're all going through right now, I think, on deeper and deeper levels, is learning to discriminate between what is in alignment for our own well-being and what is not. And in some ways, there's a really simple way of of learning how to discriminate. And it takes practice, because we have to learn how to trust again. And so that way is, and I love to say it, I said, is this. Okay, if you have that, if you tune into how you're feeling, when you ask about something, is this relationship right for me? Is this next step the right next step for me? And you tune into the feeling of the energy in your body, and it begins to close and contract. It's a really good sign that it's not. And if you tune into the energy and you go, and you feel that sense of your body and your energy and your heart center beginning to expand, and it could have a sense of excitement or anticipation or optimism, possibility, hope. And it might even be so subtle that you can't even discern that it's optimism or hope. It's just this feeling of openness. Then that's a really good chance you're getting good direction from your soul, that that's the right next step to take. That's what's ready to be investigated and explored. That's that's the knowingness going, go down this road. That's the knowingness that said, go meet this guy at this concert and ask him to produce your music.
Yeah.
I was terrified, but I was also like, it on from the gut instinct. I gotta do this no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay. It is a training piece that happens. Now, what you ask, why are the bowls so helpful with this? Because when we are working with crystalline sound, specifically, there is a full body entrainment, and the sound and vibrational frequencies themselves bring us into a state of heart coherence. And it doesn't take a whole lot of time for this to happen. So I tell people, if you want an experience of this, you can put my music on for about 3 to 5 minutes. I've watched this so many times. Like, I will see when I first did my albums, and you could walk into bookstores where they had, the music playing, and they would be playing my music, and I would watch people walk into the store. They would stop. They'll go like,
Yeah.
and you would see their energy just begin to change in seconds from hearing. Now, that's the effect of the music, and a lot of different kinds of music has that effect on us. And the same thing with the bowls. I've seen this for 25 years, bringing in the sound of a bowl into an environment and playing that, and particularly when it's played with a very committed intention for healing, for quieting the mind, for opening up the space to connect with spirit, just of love, genuine love, then you will see people make a shift usually between 3 and 5 minutes. So here we are, we go into that state of heart coherence, and then our energy field begins to expand. And then we literally can step outside of that conditioned mind, that programmed mind. We can I said it in a way, and I never said it before to one of my students. It's like, let's just say you had your thought forms and your belief systems with this really, really tight weave. Okay. And it was woven. It was like in your field, in the physical, in the mental, the emotional body. There's this tight weave of emotions, of thought forms, of trauma. And then when you play vibrational healing with the bowls, there's like the weave just begins to open like this. And as it starts to open, you know, you like that little space in there, and your energy goes out that space. And now you're like floating outside the weave, right?
Mm.
Or
Mm.
soul, spirit, guidance now has a space where it can get through.
Mm.
Now you're open. And how do you know? It's like, oh, I'm thinking about doing such and such. And what do you think, my soul, my beloved soul? What do you think about this, my angels? What do you think? How do you feel about that?
Mm.
What if I did this?
Mm.
Is it even possible? Right?
Yeah.
And so that
Mm.
guidance has the space to come into us, and we have the space to create a space between the tension, the contraction of our conditioned mind, and what's possible beyond it. That's what I think the bowls do.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, Ashana, I feel like crying right now. I feel like crying right now. Um, the truth of that, it just is so profound. And honestly, I experienced it myself. I just want to say this in case other people are struggling too with hard things, right? Hard decisions made. Not just going up on stage and talking to somebody that you're scared of talking to, but big life decisions. So as you were speaking, it reminded me last year I went through a divorce and I knew that it was the right thing, but it was terrifying, and all of the things that had to be put into place to move forward out of that and onto the next part of my life was overwhelming. But every time I dropped into heart coherence, I call it dropping into my heart, it was truth was there. And I can see how having that resonance of the crystal bowls would have helped me stay there, because here was my experience. It was, okay, this is the truth. Oh no, but what if, oh my God, nope, drop in again. What's the truth, Maria? Okay, but oh my God, this is okay. It's drop in. So it was that. And I can see how having your music on, or even going to a crystal healing experience, would have helped me just stay in that heart coherence space much easier. it's, it's it's a difficult thing.
And I think, one of the things, Maria, I would say is we don't it's hard to stay there, and we don't have to stay there.
Mm.
We're
Mhm.
not going to stay
Right.
there.
Right.
So, we just gotta know we're not gonna stay there. We're gonna hop out. It's just good to know how to come back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what are our tools that we have available to us where that will help us come back? And sometimes it's gonna be listening to, crystal bowl music, or, listening to Ashana or Sonatum, or, different artists or things that resonate with us. Sometimes it's gonna be, I need to take a walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's gonna be, I need to take a bath.
Mm.
Sometimes it's gonna be, I need to call a friend.
Mm. Mhm.
Sometimes
Mhm.
I need to sit and meditate.
Mhm.
You know, we just need to gather all those pieces together. I really understand this. My husband was very, very ill for a couple of months,
Mhm.
this year and last month, he was hospitalized 3 times.
Oh my.
And inside of this, and there was a part of me, and it was kinda close, we were on the edge. Um, and there was a part of me that was like, and it was almost, I couldn't even speak to it because it was such a,
Mhm.
my life is
Oh, yeah.
going like this. And what I had to do, and I disciplined myself to do this every morning, is I got up, I went for a long walk. I listened to things that teachings that really raised my frequency. I came back into the house, I meditated, and I played my bowls. And it's like, okay, now I can go to the hospital.
Yeah.
An hour and a half drive to the hospital, I listened to uplifting vibrational chanting and podcasts that would just, you know? So it was this combination of things. Again, like as I spoke to earlier, we find this way that's gonna, okay, I'll put this little puzzle together called my self nurturing. And it's got this piece in it, and this one, and this one, and this one, put it all together. And this gonna support me
Yeah.
in that.
My
And you can't have bowls playing all the time. I mean, I have my playlist of people, that I listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't listen to myself. Honest to God. I can remember Thomas and I were laughing one day. So he was in a store, and I mean in a cafe, and he hears this music playing. He goes, "Wow, that guy's really good." Production's really awesome. It's like he does this and this and this, and then it took him a while. He realized that he'd produced that. You know? Completely forgot about it, and I understand this, because like that's not the music I that's not on my playlist. I've got other things that I listen to, and then of course there are things that are on my playlist that I listen to that are mine, but mostly it's other people. But anyway.
Yeah. Right. I love what you're inferring here is that yes, crystal bowls and crystal healing can enhance these things and use it as part of your own personal prescription for enhancing your intuition and inner guidance. I love that.
Absolutely. There's no one-stop anything. Allopathic medicine is not a one-stop. Therapy is not a one-stop. Sound healing is not a one-stop.
Yeah.
Yoga is not a one-stop. It's like, and when we get caught and we depend on on all those things to be able to provide everything for us, that's when we get stuck. So we have to, and we stop growing. So if we can have an open mind and say, what is it that I need right now? What's going to nurture and nourish me in this moment? When I find spiritual mentors and teachers that have that kind of an attitude, that are not um, uh, wholly focused on their one tradition, man, my eyes go open like this, and I'm really paying attention to them because they have something to offer. They are, it's like the Dalai Lama, just ain't question, 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 and don't do it until it feels good. I'm paraphrasing it,
That's
but
right. Well, and that's another thing, right? Tuning into what feels right to you, and that's how you can trust. I actually prescribe people to play with this, right? Because sometimes it's hard to know, what is my body telling me? What is my intuition telling me? What is the truth? What does feel expansive? What does feel contracting? I don't know. And so playing around with it is really good. Try out, listen to the piece at the end of this podcast and feel your body. Does it feel like a yes? Does it feel like a no? Feel it. See. Yeah. Yeah. So great. I have one more question for you, if we can. We've been talking about this consciousness and ethereal things really, and I just want to highlight that I had an experience with crystal singing bowls, only one in person experience that was before COVID. And then everything shut down and I just didn't do it again. But a friend of mine invited me to go to this crystal healing experience. And it was 60 minutes of being in a room with crystal singing bowls. And she used chimes or bells of some kind over each body. Okay, is that what that is? I Ashana, I felt like I had an hour-long massage. Like my body was affected, not just my mental health or anything, my body. What's happening? What happened with that? What is happening with the body that it's affected so
Well,
much?
you're releasing stress. Remember, we talked about coming into that state of coherence, heart coherence, just think about all of those sounds and training every cell in your body.
Okay.
And all
Okay.
the cells of the body are going, "Oh, I'm feeling better now. Oh, I can take a breath. Oh, I can relax." And then remember, there are little receptors on all the cells that once one feeling or emotion is triggered, it just kind of goes to all the neighboring cells. And so now you're having vibration, intentional vibration, vibration which we hope is being transmitted with a deep sense of love, respect, prayers and affirmations for healing, either internally or spoken by the group. You're creating a group collective experience, which is saying, we are here for our healing. We are here for our wholeness. We are calling in the team. We're invoking the presence of the divine healing angels, of our soul's guidance, of all the healing angels that are available to us, the master teachers that are available to us. And the room literally begins, I swear to, because I've seen it, it just begins filling up with these beings of light. And there is an activation of all the energy bodies in the field as the body moves into a deeper state of coherent harmonic resonance, literally from the root chakra all the way to the crown and to all the chakras above and even some of the chakras below. And there is a relaxation, so there is no resistance. The body moves into deeper and deeper states of relaxation without resistance, right? Nobody's touching you. If the sounds are played well, then the sounds are very, very soothing. They're very nourishing. And the more and more and more you relax, the more the body says, "Oh, well, I don't need that pain. I can just let go of that pain."
Yes.
I've had
Yes.
situations where people come to my concerts, right? And have had, stuff, literally, they watched stuff shoot out of their organs. We've had situations where there have been um, tumors released and blockages, intestinal blockages released, chronic pain that's been held in the body, you know, leaves. I was referring to this at the beginning of our interview where working with one of my students last week and working with her with vocal sound and a profound neck pain that she had been dealing with for months. And she wrote me 48 hours after our session, and she said that the pain reduction was dramatic. So when sound is so powerful. It is such a powerful healing modality, and when sound is relayed, oftentimes the what is underneath, I'll put it that way, what's underneath the condition, either the pain, the illness, whether that's mental, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, whether it's the trauma, there is something under there. And when we can get relaxed enough, when the body relaxes enough, and we are willing, open to reflect and be witnessed to from a real state of neutrality. And sound can help us reach that neutral state. When we can see that, we can reflect upon whatever's underneath there. And the moment we start that gentle reflection, hopefully gentle, then it can unwind. It can let go. And sometimes it's just, the tension of the pain that's instigating all of that or behind it all. And we can experience the sound and vibration, and minutes later, the pain is gone. I've had many, many, many people over the years tell me that just listening to my music has relieved chronic pain almost instantly.
I have no doubt. I will never forget that session. I don't know why I haven't been back, honestly. But now I have your music to listen to. So,
Well, you can do that, and then you can there's a beautiful thing about the combination of both those things. So that, when you go to a live experience and you have that, and then let's say you can't get back for 2 weeks or you can't get back for 3 weeks, what do you look for? Well, you find the music that is designed to do that. And that's one of the reasons why we created the music for Celestial Alignment for Healing, of which you have a couple of excerpts from that, so that people can have that experience where you can just put it on your headphones, you can lay back and just allow yourself to receive.
mhm,
So
mhm.
headphones and music can be as potent, and sometimes more potent, than a live experience.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
when you get into the studio and you can create the best of the best of the best of the best of that, and that's at least what Thomas and I do. It's finding the best of the best of the best. Then real magic can happen.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
live, absolutely. Recorded, absolutely. And they're like, right and left hand.
Oh, yes. Well, that is gonna be my own personal prescription. Thank you. Along with crystal healing, I like listening to your music when I'm doing an actual, crystal healing on myself. It just is part of my I track everything that I'm doing every crystal session, and that's in the treatment portion of my crystal healing is Ashana. I'll name the particular track, and I just love you. I just love you, Shauna. I'm just saying. I just love you.
Thank you, Maria.
I appreciate you so much and your wisdom and your insights. Thank you so much for moving through the tech struggles with me today and sharing of yourself today. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks for joining the Reluctant Medium podcast today. I hope you found this episode helpful. You can connect with me at thereluctantmedium.us, where you can find lots of free content as well as readings. All links are also in the show notes. Thanks so much again for joining today. I will see you next time.